We're going to try to look at some more advanced breakage on glass. And when a rock hits, and there are very few times will they be perfectly round, it'll hit the glass, and then another section of the rock will hit, and then the rock will fly on away. So you'll get damage like this occasionally right beside each other. If they're separated and not connected together, treat them as two separate breaks. You can also charge for more. Most guys will charge a set price for the first break, and then to do the next break in the windshield they get a reduced price, and then sometimes guys will try to get then money for like a third break done on the same windshield. An average cost might be $35, $15, and $10, anything along like that. To work on this break, if we let gravity help us, we'll drill the top break, let the resin fall and go down into the bottom break, and the air will be easier to pull up and out. If we would put our resin pump on the bottom break, we'd have to force the resin up and try to suck the air down to the bottom. So it's easier to get on the top one. If the top one is very small and the bottom one is larger, then sometimes we need to hook onto the bottom break with our resin pump and see if we can get the resin to go up and fix the top one. But again, normally we attach on the top break. Should we go up here and get this break done where it looks real good, and this break only gets half full, then we need to cure this one and then go down and reattach our resin pump and work this break. And to keep this resin that's in here from curing up while we're trying to cure the top one, we just take a piece of black electrician's tape, place it across the section that you do not want to cure, set your UV lamp up here and cure this one. After you've got this one cured up, peel off your black tape and go ahead and work on this one. So by using the black tape, we have ways of not solidifying, curing our resin in a section, yet while we can cure in another area. We've got a picture of a star break here. This one over here is usually referred to as a sunburst. It's just multiple cracks coming out from wherever the rock hit. And these cracks will be very, very thin. The reason they're so thin is to see a crack, the glass has to separate. So when this crack came out, this glass moved over, this piece of glass moved over, and if this crack was already here before, it made it thinner. Or as this one come out, it made this one thinner. So when you have multiple cracks coming out, all this open glass has to go somewhere, so each one of these is very, very thin and very difficult to fill. On this type of break, we would drill the break, try to break that little bullseye down at the bottom. That lets the resin come down, go over, and get a chance to get out running out the crack. If you've got your equipment on and for some reason 3 of these are filling and the 4th won't, you can come down sometimes, take your drill, drill at an angle through the same pit but over into the crack, and that'll let the resin come down, go over, and get started out to fill it. We'll work, get the air out of this area here, we'll let it go into pressure, we'll let it flow out what it'll flow out. Then we'll flex. Remember, when we flex right by the tip. Don't get out here and flex or you'll crack it on, but flex right around where the tip's at, making the seal. And then if flexing won't work, then we'll go to putting a little resin on the top, putting curing film over it, heating it up, causing the glass to expand shut. Then when it cools down, hopefully it'll pull the resin either from underneath the curing film or pull it over from the resin pump, which is still under pressure. And if that fails and you still have a little bit of silver showing out here where you haven't got the resin out into the tip, then you're going to need to come out here and drill put the resin pump on it, and get the end of this crack filled with resin, or it's going to crack on with you. So you most definitely have to have the resin out to the end of the crack. On this other type, these you're best to pass on. One way of fixing them is drill, put your resin pump on, pull a vacuum or two, put it down under pressure, and then wait. See if they will fill. If it's summertime, some guys will run the air conditioner in the car, cool the inside piece of glass, and the cold glass will cause these cracks to open up. The warm resin on the outside will let the resin be very thin, and sometimes that will fill these breaks. Air conditioner to cool the glass to open the cracks up. Now you can put ice on the back. If you do, put it in a rag. Don't put the ice directly on the brake, but that's a pretty dangerous technique to use, and you need to have a lot of experience before you try cooling a brake to open it up. Again, try that one in your garage for a while before you go out and try it on somebody's car. Okay, we've got a piece of glass here and here. This is the plastic layer, and here's a bullseye that's been fixed. And for some reason or other we forgot to inspect under vacuum, and we left a big section of air in this side. You'll have to decide whether or not you want to go in and try to fix this or just leave it in the repair. If you do have to go in and fix it and try to get it cleaned up, you can drill right down through here, and as soon as you hit the air space, stop. Don't drill on down to the plastic. Just bring the drill down to the airspace, stop there, and then go ahead and work it as you would a normal brake. And this mess over here on the other side is where the rock impacted and hit so hard that it actually broke the glass on the inside. Now if this is just a little break here, this one's not too bad. We can fix them. Some guys will put a piece of clear tape on the bottom here so the resin won't leak on through, and then they drill down through this break, through the plastic, and just start to drill down in the bottom break. So by drilling all the way through here, we can put our resin pump on top, force the resin, get it to flow into this area here, and fix both brakes from one side. Now you will have to cure on this side to cure this brake, because UV light will not go through the plastic layer, so you'll have to cure from both sides. And occasionally you'll have somebody break a windshield on the inside. You can fix it upside down. Do put some paper towels down though. You may spill a little resin as you work, but everything will work the same, just to be a little different working upside down on it. If you happen to be working on a brake that cracks out a few inches while you're putting pressure on it, I've worked on one time where as the resin got to this point, I'd turn and put a little pressure, the resin go to here, the crack would go out, and every time I moved the resin an inch, I got an inch longer crack from it. Stop, put your lamp on this section where you have resin, cure it, lock it up good and tight. If you haven't got the brake completely done, put some black tape over it, cure this section, pull your black tape off, work the brake. You can go out then and drill a hole and run the resin back. Something more than likely caused that, being you had the heat transferring to the glass. The inside glass was hotter than the outside, or some reason you had a stress already built to it. But you can do a lot of different things on this glass to keep it from cracking out. You just have to be able to use a little common sense as you do your work. Your equipment can repair anywhere on the windshield that the break occurs. And some insurance companies call where the wiper wipes the critical area, and then a little 4-inch by 8-inch block here, the acute area. And they don't and we don't recommend fixing any breaks here where the driver has to look directly through as he's going down the road. Now, anywhere in the critical area or out here, it is fine to do your repairs. But try to avoid doing any that are in the line of sight of the driver. Again, it's about a 4" by 8" acute area.